I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you're listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 308. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, my dear friends all over the world. It's a beautiful day here. I know I always talk about the weather when I first get on here because the weather is really important to me because I go out in it so much. And today is really no exception because I know a lot of you have had some crazy weather. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my weather because it's been crazy. Because today it's going to be in the 60s. And the last couple days, it's like we had this really couple snowy, icy days. And now we're back in the 60s again. So it's like I don't have to travel anywhere. I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't been traveling as much as I usually do. But what I think is so amazing is that I live in the Midwest and I get all kinds of weather. So 2 days ago, we were in the snow, and now we're going to be back in the 60s. And I'm going to go out for all the snow's going to be melted, and I'm going to pick one of my favorite trails to do today. And since I broke my elbow, one of the new things that I like to do is I like to use walking sticks just to kind of work my upper body a little bit more. It's been so much fun. So I'm going to use my walking sticks today, and I'm going to do a nice hilly trail. That's like what I'm looking forward to today. And speaking of my broken elbow, for those of you who've been listening for a while, it's been 5 months now since I broke my elbow. And I just want to tell you that it's really healing. I still have things I need to do. I'm still working in physical therapy because now my goal is I want to get stronger than I was before I broke my elbow. I want my upper body to be stronger than it was before. So that's really what I'm working on. And I love having something like that in my mind because it's like no matter how old you are, you can always get stronger, right? And I like thinking that the older I get, the stronger I get. And really, it's possible if I do the things. So that makes me more excited because I have never really done a lot of weightlifting. I've been more yoga girl and I do lots and lots of yoga. And I do lots and lots of hiking and walking. And now, due to my broken elbow, I am now working on things I've never really done before, been interested in. I'm more interested in it now because it's better for me and my body if I do this work. And now it makes me more excited so that when I'm finished, I feel so good and I'm so proud of myself, which is what gets me going to do it. It's anything new. In the beginning, it's like, I don't really feel like going and doing that. But I love the results that I'm getting. I love seeing a muscle start to happen again on the arm that hasn't been used. I'm watching it starting to get strong again. Really makes me feel good. And I think about for you when you're starting something new, especially if it comes to movement, motion, you want your body to do more for you. I do a lot of that in my program where I talk about exercise specifically because you got to really watch out why you do what you do if you want to do it for a lifetime. And that's not really what this podcast is about. But I will say this for you is that if you're on the fence or if you haven't done something and you want to do it, know that you're not going to feel like doing it when you first start out. You're really going for how you're going to feel when you're done, and you use the feeling when you're done to actually start. So take that with you. It's just a little nugget I'm giving you today, because what I really want to talk to you about today is one of my clients. Because one thing I know for sure is that when I give you a real life example of someone who's working with my program and the problems that they have, I almost know for sure there's somebody out there that's got the same problem. So, this is what I want to show you today. I was working with one of my clients last week, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. She's the type of client that she came to me when she hired me. She had already been using a lot of the tools that I teach on my podcast. She was already using it. She had already lost weight. And she ended up wanting to hire me because she felt like she just couldn't quite get in her mind enough to see the things that she felt that she still might be missing. And the other thing I think when I think about her is that she really did not have a very good opinion about herself. And probably that's where a lot of the work came in that I actually did with her, was really helping her, rewiring her brain to think that she's amazing, to actually like herself. Because she almost came into coaching with me with the basic thought of, I'm a mess. And I remember when we had our first call together, and I said, I was really amazed at how much she had done. And just by looking at her food journals, she'd been doing all the food journals. She knows how to track them. So I said to her I think you have done such a great job on your own. And she said to me on the phone, she says, I can't believe you said that, because I thought you were going to think that I was probably the worst client that you ever had and the biggest mess. And that's really what she brought to the call. That's really why she hired me. She didn't really know it. But the reason she hired me is because she just had no confidence in herself, and she really felt like she was a mess. And yet the work that she was doing was so right on, but she couldn't see it. So let me fast forward weeks, months, and we're kind of winding up now. And she sent me a food journal. And usually when people send me food journals, and I've been working with them for a while, they'll usually go to where they want to work because they know where the problem is already. So let me refresh your memory. For those of you, if you've never heard this podcast before, you don't know any of my tools, let me just tell you a couple pointers that I use with all clients so I can explain this problem. But basically what I have all of you do is I teach you how to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And I give you a physical hunger scale that you learn over time. And if you're hearing this podcast for the first time, I really do suggest that you go back to the first 4 or 5 podcasts where I explain the tools, because I think it will help you a lot as I'm talking in this podcast. But basically, I teach you how to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And we look at the physical hunger scale going from a -10, which is starving, and a +10, which is full. And what we're looking for is to eat between the twos. So you eat at a -2 and you stop at a +2, and you start noticing what all those numbers feel like. And then from there, we move on to the emotional hunger scale, which really is why most people hire me, because it's sometimes very difficult for you to see what is actually going on emotionally other than you're overeating. But with her, she really had her emotional hunger scale. She really understood it. She understood the types of eating. And the 2 types of eating that usually are problems in the process that I use is going to be when we see fog eating, which means either you're eating beyond a +2, you're eating when you're not hungry, or you're eating foods like Joy Eats, you're eating too many of them, or if you're planning them, you're eating them when they're not planned, so you're giving into urges. And that's just a small little snippet. But for this podcast, what I want to say about her is that when we got on the phone, she says, well, I want to talk to you about one of those days. So she brought me to the food journal, and I could see on the food journal, as soon as she brought it to me, that at the end of the day, what I saw was a fog eat and probably a few Joy Eats that weren't planned. It wasn't that it was a lot of food. It wasn't even that it was a lot of anything. It's just that she knew to bring me there because, number one, she was eating when she wasn't hungry, and she knew what was going on that day. So that's what I want to explain to you, because really the name of this podcast is how resentment and people pleasing will make you fat. And I use that word loosely, but that's how you all talk to yourself. So I'm just going to say that when you're working and worried about how other people think and feel about you. And you know, I've done plenty of podcasts on this, but boy, it keeps coming up. So for her, the biggest thing that she wanted to learn, I would say, after learning to like herself, would be how to please herself before she's trying to please everybody else. And here is a perfect example because she has really learned over the time that we have worked together, she has learned her own body language, her own body feelings, and she knows when she needs to say no to somebody. She knows that now. And she knows that it's not her job to make somebody else feel happy. Maybe you don't know that yet, but I got news for you. It really isn't your job to make somebody happy, and it wasn't her job either. But she's got this thing going with her mother. Now, I know all of you who have mothers, God bless all of them. If they're here or not, they have had big influences on us. So I'm going in this story because I think it's interesting with her relationship with her mother and then how she treats herself accordingly. So in this instance, she has this thing with her mom that she sees her like once a week. And she does it more because she thinks that her mother would get mad at her if she didn't do it. And she doesn't know how to tell her no when she shouldn't go over there because she's got more to do at her own home and she wants to take some time for herself. So she has times when she wants to say, I can't come, but she doesn't know how to do it. So here's an instance. It was a Sunday and she knew from the get-go that she had a busy week and that there were things that she needed to do in her home to help her so that she would feel better. But she didn't know how to just tell her mom, hey, Mom, I can't come today because there's so many things that I have to do. So what she did instead is she went. Even though she didn't want to, she knew she had a lot to do. And I think she might have even started to have a conversation with her mother. And her mother might have said something like, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. And, I'm not going to be here forever. I do believe there was a conversation like that going on. And my client does not like confrontation either. You may be like that too. So, to make a long story short, she went and she said she ate when she was hungry and stopped when she was full to start out with. But when I looked at her food journal, I could see that it really wasn't the fuel foods that she would eat. I think there was like popcorn on there. Nothing wrong with popcorn. It's just interesting because it's not something that she does very often as a fuel meal. And in the end, there were M&Ms and all kinds of other things. So she said, and this was very clear, she says, I made it through the meal. She did. She ate between the twos and she considered it fuel. But later, she said, I was having all this fun with my mom and stuff. And I don't know why, but I started eating M&Ms and something else. So, of course, at the end of her food journal was basically a fog entry where she was eating when she wasn't hungry. And it was a joy fog because she was eating non-nutritious foods. She wasn't really enjoying them. And here's the thing. She took her feelings with her for the whole day, knowing what she needed, and in trying to please her mother, she went against herself, and it didn't feel good. So in the end, M&Ms went in her mouth and other things when all she really needed to say at the beginning of the day is, Mom, it's not a good day for me to come. I love you, and I'll see you next week. But for her, she would rather go against what she needed because she didn't want her mom to be mad at her. She wanted her mom to be happy, and she thought she was the one who was making her mom happy. So instead, end of the day, who wasn't happy? It was her. She knew what was going on. She didn't know exactly what actually was going on. But because the food journal, because she had written it, because she had that fog, and I will tell you with this client, she just doesn't have a lot of fog eats. Many of my clients, as we're working for a while, their food journals get cleaner and cleaner, and there's more eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full, and a lot less fog eating. So when fog eating starts popping up, it gets their attention and they bring it to me because they want to be coached on it. That's the purpose. And after all of this time, what she wants to do more than anything before she finishes coaching with me is she wants to learn how to say no. Because if she doesn't stand up for herself, she ends up going against herself, which is what happened on this day. And she said to me, Dr. Deb, I was not mad at myself. I didn't get mad at myself. I just said to myself that night, you're going to figure out what happened and it's okay. And you know what? She did figure it out. And it was a learning experience because she didn't get mad. She got curious. And when you get curious about things that you don't like yourself seeing, it is a moment to learn something about yourself. And you know, the work that we're doing before this process ends for her is all about working in the model. So, you know, the model that I use is how to manage your own thinking. And it's a very, very specific process that I use. And there's a podcast number 61, if you want to go back to it, where I talk about the model. If you want to learn more about it, about how to manage your mind. Now, listen, all the podcasts, all 308 podcasts that I do, I talk about your thinking and how to manage it. But in the end, with this client, as she's getting towards the end, she's getting crystal clear on why she fog eats. And when it's uncomfortable for her, and basically what she was feeling is she was really resenting her mom. She felt very resentful that she was there and she wasn't at home, if she was being honest, which is what she said to me. Well, if I'm being honest, Dr. Deb, a lot of my clients say that, maybe a lot of people on many sessions, I want to be honest with you. I go, what else can you do but be honest? And being honest with yourself is probably even more important. And she got very honest with me and very honest with herself, is that if she goes against herself, she's the one that misses out and loses, right? It's like the only thing she's really afraid of with her mom, this may be, you may be like this too. She's not afraid her mom is going to hate her and never see her again. She's just afraid her mom's going to get mad at her. I'm going like, okay, this is like over 50 something years of you and your mom. It's okay. Your mom can get mad at you. It's okay if your mom's not happy. It's not your job. And, you know, we kind of create our own relationships. And what she's doing at this time is she's changing her relationship with her mom because she's starting to stand up for herself. And in the end, this is like what I see for a lot of my clients. They end up with better relationships because they're cleaner with themselves. You want to have great relationships in your life? Start with yourself. Start with being honest with yourself and make sure that you're getting what you want and that you realize your own happiness lies in your hands and other people's happiness lies in their hands. So I don't know where you are at in the spectrum of working my Inner Peace process, but what I want you to take away from here is this, is that if you're eating when you're not hungry and it's a fog eat, I promise you there is something going on. And it's not always happy, mad, sad, glad. You know, sometimes it's just this urge. It's just this, you want to fill up the time. It's just like you just want to fill up something. An urge just means an urgent desire. It feels like you got to do it right now, which is still negative emotion. But no matter what kind of negative emotion is going on, when you're working with me, I can help you see it clearly. Now, this woman hired me because she knew I could help her do it. And she knew when this happened with her mom, she knew something was going on, but she really couldn't figure it out herself. But with a little bit of coaching, it became very, very clear. And this is the thing. Resentment is not a food group. You can't fill it up. If you want to make sure that you don't feel resentful, you make sure that you're clear on what you want first. And I'm not saying it like you need to be. It's not about being selfish. I know a lot of you go there. It's really just about knowing what you want and what's going down on any certain day. And for her on this day, it was just a no-go. It was no, I can't come. How do you say no? I want to give you a little hint on how you can say no. This is how you do it. No. No is a complete sentence. That is what I'm going to end with today. So if you're anything like this client that I'm talking about, and you say yes when you mean no, and if you want to say no, you end up with paragraphs and paragraphs, and you still don't say no, know that there's a good chance that if you're listening to this podcast and you're eating when you're not hungry, that they may go together for you too. Did you know that trying to please somebody else is going to put weight on you? Did you know that when you feel resentful, you're going to end up with weight on you, and then you end up just resenting yourself too? It's just a negative spin cycle. Okay, so that's what I've got for you today. I'm getting ready to go out for a beautiful hike on a 61-degree day in winter, and I hope that you have something beautiful planned for you too. And also, what I want you to take away from this podcast is learn how to say no. Learn how to know what you want. And the way that you're going to know is you're going to get a feeling inside of you that's going to tug you. And it's there for a reason to get your attention. So think about that for this week. Can I say no when I mean no? And I'll tell you what, there's a very simple exercise that you can do on how to start saying no. Start with something very, very little. Whatever it is, maybe it's going to a restaurant. I say that because sometimes people who can't say no also can't pick the things that they want. They would rather just say okay than do what they want. So maybe it's a restaurant, or if you're going to the movie theater, or you're going anywhere with somebody, or somebody asks you to do something for them. Do it on the small scale. Can I borrow something from you? Maybe. And you know you don't want to do it. Can you just say, no, I'm sorry? Start with little. Don't go for a big divorce. That's not what I'm talking about. Start with something little where you can say no when you mean it. And of course, I would never end this podcast. Not only do I want you to stand up for yourself and say no when you mean no, but I also want you to learn and to know that there's nobody that deserves more kindness than you. And the only place that that can come from is from you. So not only stand up for yourself this week, but please, whatever else you do, be very, very kind to yourself. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you've been following my podcast and you're loving all the tools that I teach you, but you're just not sure that you can do it or apply it by yourself, then please go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. And you can find out if the program that I do and the coaching that I do will help you get to where you want to be, to learn all the tools that I teach and be able to make it a part of your life. Just go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. You can set up a free 30-minute mini session.